my superpower, honestly, is being able to empathize with the people, empathize with the buyers. I can see the end project, and I've learned by like visualizing the end project when to say yes and when to absolutely say no, period, and walk. That's a hard thing to learn to do, because when you're new, you want to take every deal you can get and make them into something. And sometimes you have to just say no.
Welcome to the Kash and Dash Show with Dwan Bent-Twyford.
That was weird. Dwan, thanks for joining us. Happy Friday.
No, that was great.
This is going to be fun. This is Twyford times 2, because we've obviously had your husband, Bill, has been on the podcast before and come in person to
he was in Omaha a couple months ago.
Dressed like a rock star. So this is going to be a fun episode. And I've got a little backstory I'll share with you when we get into this. But we want to, if you're okay with this, obviously we're going to get into your experience and background in real estate, all the books you've written, all that fun stuff. But let's wind back the clock a little bit further than that even. Where's home for you originally?
So I I was born in Dayton, Ohio. Then my parents moved us to a very, very small town outside of Dayton called West Milton. So I grew up kind of in the country. I was on 10 acres. We had a cow and a pig and chickens and a garden. So I'm like an actual homegrown Midwestern type of girl.
Nice. Now, did you grow your own wine grapes when you were growing up?
Well, yes, because all the men and my dad's friends, everybody made their own wine back then. And let me tell you something, that wine that those guys used to make would like knock your socks off. So yeah, my dad and his buddy Dean, they always made homemade wine down in the basement.
You know, it's funny. I grew up in a small town in Iowa also, and you're just...
But it was moonshine there, right?
Moonshine, yeah. No, but it's so funny because you'll see vineyards or in and around Iowa that you'd be like, what? How do we have any weather that would support that at all? But you see them, and it's not bad actually. Like I've had some.
No. My dad and his buddy Dean, they always made wine, and they like to make blackberry wine. So I mean, I grew, so as a kid they let you have a taste, or you sneak a taste. I was like, oh, it's like a blackberry wine, but it kicks your butt. And then my dad and my actual grandfather was a moonshiner. So he made moonshine. He got caught. He spent 90 days in Cook County jail making moonshine. So we always had moonshine around. So once we got to be like 12, 13, 14, we go get a can of Mountain Dew. And we dump half out and find the parents' moonshine and pour it in the can. And we just be walking around like we were drinking soda. And we're like kids, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're all drinking Mountain Dew and moonshine.
I tell you what, my kid's favorite day is going to church and taking communion because we drank the wine, not the grape juice, Dad.
That's hilarious. So yeah, they probably were like, "Hey, okay, time to take your nighttime cough medicine," and it's just full on wine or moonshine. Oh, that's great. Okay, so you were growing up. How did you arrive where you're at? Let's start kind of like maybe what did you do for work, college, that kind of stuff. Give us a peek behind the curtain.
So I graduated high school in 1977.
Okay,
in Ohio. And in and around Dayton, Ohio, that's when all the car factories were big, General Motors, everybody was making cars. So basically, as a woman, I was told, graduate high school, get married, have babies, work in the factory, work for the man, retire when you're 60, and do whatever. And in the 70s, they just didn't really, not that my parents didn't, but my parents were from Tennessee, and they grew up without, electricity and running water. So it wasn't like, you're going to get out of school, you got to go to college, just like you're going to get a factory job, you have babies, you're going to get married. And so my very first job out of high school, 2 weeks out of high school, I went and I got a job in a factory. Now, I have never been in a factory. I'm 18, but I'm an extremely naive 18, living in the country. My cousins, we're all country kids, And I got a job in a factory, and I was like, oh, I'm so proud I got a job in a factory. My dad's going to be so happy about this. And I didn't even work there for a week. And I thought, why on God's earth would my parents want me to work in a freaking factory? It's 10,000 degrees. They're hot. There's no air. You're standing on concrete. And within a week or two, I was just like, oh, my God, if I have to do this for my whole life, I'm not going to be able to make it. And
You don't look like a
I
factory
hated
woman.
it.
No, you do not. No.
I what?
You don't look like a factory woman.
No. And so, and I did it for a couple weeks. You know, it's funny now, reflecting back, I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and thinking this was going to be my entire life. But there were people working there that were in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and this was their entire life. But I was like too young to notice that. So I'm complaining. I'm like, oh my God. But I know that if I quit my job, my dad's going to rip me a new one. You don't quit jobs. You gave your word. You work. You know, that kind of a dad. And so I was there about 6 weeks. And this manager walks on the floor and everybody gets silent. I mean, dead silent. You can hear a pin drop. So I'm like, to the girl next to me, I go, what's happening? And she goes, they're giving out pink slips. And I was like, what is a pink slip? She says, well, that means everyone that gets one of these is going to go home today and they're going to be laid off. And I'm like, laid off as in, like, I don't have to come to work tomorrow. So now I'm standing there like, oh, Lord, please give me a pink slip. Please give me a pink. Please, please, please. I beg you for a pink slip. And so they're giving them out. And I got one because, you know, I was a new hire. And I'm just like, woohoo, I got a pink slip. I don't have to quit. I'm out of this job. I'm never coming back. And I just remember this one woman, and I don't know her name. I just remember her even to this day. She was bawling. She was devastated. And I said, why are you so upset? You just got a pink slip. You can get out of this hellhole. She's like, I'm a single mom. I've got 3 kids. This is my job. This is my insurance. This is this. This is that. But I'm too young to understand all that. And I'm like, girl, listen, all I know is I'm out of here so fast. I'm going to change my phone number. They can never call me back. Never coming back. So I'm just like, ooh, I got a pink slip. I go home, Dad, I got a pink slip. I'm so happy. And then I remember thinking, like, at 18, they were like, well, you know, you could look for another factory job. And I'm like, no, I'm never doing that. So I'm looking around Dayton, Ohio, and there's not really a lot to do. People are working in NCR, and people are working at these big companies. And we had that giant blizzard of 78. Do y'all remember the big Midwest blizzard of 78? Are you too young?
Newspapers all the time here.
I was 4, but I kind of remember that.
Okay, well, I was working. And so I graduated in 77, and then next winter of 78, we had that blizzard. I mean, it was 10 feet of snow. Everybody was locked down. Like, it was, and I worked in a restaurant, and they all kept us there to wait on the people because they couldn't leave either. Like, we were all stuck there. And I remember saying to my dad, and my exact words were, when this shit melts, I'm moving to Florida. I hate the winter. I hate the cold. I hate the factory. I just got snowed in 3 days over at my work at the airport hotel. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So I'm telling you, when June came, I said, I'm going to go to Florida and visit and see how I like it. And they're like, you'll be back. You'll be back. You'll be back. And I never went back. I went to Florida in the summer of 78 after that big-ass blizzard, and I went there. I was like, I can lay on the beach every day. This is amazing. I got a job at some little restaurant, and I rented a weekly efficiency, and I never went back to Ohio. That was it. I was a Florida girl, still am to this day.
Nice. What part of Florida did you end up?
But, but she's in Iowa.
Yeah. Still a Florida girl.
No, I have a reason for being in Iowa. So I moved to Fort Lauderdale because, like, that's really all that I knew. And now I have a house in Delray Beach. So I've had my house on Delray Beach for about 30 years.
Oh, cool.
And it's a mile from the ocean. It's on a lake. It's all the things you want in a Florida house. So I have a house in Florida. Then I met Bill. He lived in Colorado. We decided to get married and live 50-50 Colorado, Florida. And then he is from Clinton, Iowa, which is where I'm at today. And they were doing like a downtown rebeautification type of a project. And Bill knows everyone. His whole family's from here. His dad owned businesses. So we started buying some buildings, and now we're like rehabbing this whole town.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. Yeah, Bill kind of told the story about basically revitalizing the downtown area. Now, were you involved at real estate at all when you met him, or maybe kind of like?
Oh, yeah. No, I started. So I got married. I had a baby. I went through a divorce when she was 8 months old. And so at that point, I'm having like one of those, I have a come to Jesus moment. Like I'm 30 years old. I have an 8-month-old child. I actually waited till I was 30 so that I could not put her in daycare, and I could be like the homeroom mom, the homeschool mom, the Girl Scout mom, the cookie mom, the field trip mom, the disco ball mom. I wanted to do all that really cool stuff. And then now Jamie's in jail, and I was like, oh, like, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do? And she's 8 months old, so I started going on job interviews and meeting people.
Yeah, hold up.
Hang on.
Your husband at the time was in jail?
He was in jail.
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, my ex got thrown in jail.
Yeah, why?
He, and you know what? It's funny. I never ever tell this side of the story just because he's not here to defend himself. And if people think he's in jail, they're like, oh, you had to do something with it. You know, what were you doing? You guys were illegal. But he was a musician in the 80s, like a big hair band musician guy. And he wanted to record a CD. And at the time, they were like $100,000. And he and his friends played out at a nightclub in Miami that was owned by Ron Wood. That's one of the Rolling Stones. So I'm like, okay, so I'll work, and you can work on your music thing, and this will be great, and you know, you'll get a record deal, and then I'll be like the wife of a musician, like Aerosmith, traveling around on the bus with our baby, and life will be so fun. But in the meantime, to help raise extra money, he and the band were selling cocaine in the back.
Okay.
You know, on breaks out back, and they got busted. And they all got put in jail, and he calls me at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning, a collect call from jail, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And he's like, hey, I'm in jail. I'm like, why are you in jail? And he's like, well, I don't want to say. I said, well, you don't have to say. I know they're recording, but what did you get arrested for? And he's like, selling cocaine. And I was like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. We have a baby. We stopped doing drugs. We got clean. We did all the things that you do. We made a deal to raise this kid. You can still play out. You can try to raise money. You can do a CD, whatever you want to do. But we are clean and sober. And he and the whole band got caught making a drug deal. Guess for how much cocaine?
How much?
Probably very little.
Was this like
40 kilos.
Whoa. Okay.
40.
Yeah, you didn't realize
40.
you were married to Scarface. Wow.
Yeah, like I was married to Pablo Escobar down there. 40. So they all got sentenced to 15 years in jail.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
All of them. And I'm like, I got a baby. You're going to be in jail for 15 years. What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So you're like peace out right there.
Looking for jobs. He's out. And I went looking for jobs. And I happened to meet a couple guys. And they go, Dan and Mac. And they go, well, we fix up cars and we sell them. We fix up houses and we sell them. And I thought, well, okay, I like houses. I could fix up a house. We built the house we live in. And in my mind, I'm honestly thinking that fixing up is like decorating. It's like, how hard could that be? So they said, go to the Palm Beach County Courthouse, write down all the addresses, use that big map book, go knock on doors, tell people that you want to buy their house and fix it up and sell them. And so I was like, Ayla's with me. I can talk to people. I'm not shy. I can fix up and decorate a house. How hard could it be? And that's what I did. I got in the car. I took my baby. I went door knocking in the blazing summer heat with the baby hanging on my hip, going, could I buy your house? I see you're in foreclosure. And everybody said no.
Going into that moment right there, though, I mean, your experience at this point with houses, besides owning your own home, your only experience at this point, like you've been in a factory, you've worked at Denny's, you've been a bartender. Is that like that's been your life up until this point for your 20s, right?
Yes, that's been my whole life.
And you're like,
now,
and you had no experience or no like introduction to real estate, nobody in your family, nothing.
Well, the only thing with real estate is we lived in downtown Dayton, and my dad wanted to move us up into the country so we could live like on 10 acres, live in the country. So my dad built most of our house by himself. Like obviously he had people pour the basement and stuff like
That's where it
that.
comes from.
But we would go up on the weekends and we would put in 2x4s and we would put in drywall. We would run electrical, helping, and then we moved into this house. So I had like the knowledge of what a 13-year-old girl would have going up with daddy on the weekends and putting up drywall and running electrical through the walls. Of course, he would fix everything. So, like, I had, like, the basic knowledge of tools. I understood what drywall was. I understood how to paint. I knew how to run electrical, like, just from here to here, but not to, like, hook it up. So I thought, that's enough experience. I helped my dad build a house when I was 13. I know what I'm doing.
That's a big deal, though. I mean, like, you had the groundwork. I mean, we have little girls, and, you know, we know that I bring my little girl to the houses and check things out. You know, she's going to have a little bit different comfort level. You obviously had an extreme comfort level when you went to this point. So it wasn't like you were just going in blind. You're like, hell, my dad did this. I can do this, right?
That's what I was thinking. I thought, well, listen, I know how to paint. I know how to put up a piece of drywall. I don't know anything about electrical plumbing. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. But it's like, I was there. I watched it. Can't be that difficult. If he could do it, I could do it. Again, he's my dad. I'm a 13-year-old child. I'm like, it can't be that hard. So these guys were like, yeah.
Do you have to pull a permit for an illegal moonshine bootlegging operation?
And I thought, my dad was a moonshiner. He served time in Cook County Jail. Like, I come from a family made out of good stuff, you know.
I love this so far.
But, you know, the funny
This
thing
is exactly
is,
what I want to hear, Dwan. This is exactly it.
I know. My dad always told me and my sister, he always said our whole lives, you girls are made out of good stuff. You can do anything. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do anything. Don't let a man tell you you can't do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to. Now, as a dad and like with teenagers in the 70s, even though it was still get married, work at a factory, do whatever, he always said, since as long as I have a memory, you can do anything, you're made out of good stuff. You can do anything, you're made out of good stuff. So then when this opportunity came to try to like fix up a house, which I swear to God, on my soul, I thought it meant I was going to decorate. I was like, I'm made out of good stuff. I can do anything. It's decorating. How hard could decorating be? Like, really, how hard could it be? Decorating and rehabbing are not the same thing.
No, they're not.
Not at all. And it was way hard.
Yeah.
So I find this house. I get this woman named Barbara that says she's going to work with me. I'm like, okay, so listen. You move out. I'm going to move in. I don't have money to live here and pay rent. I've got a $9,000 credit card on Home Depot. I'll decorate and get it all ready, and when we sell it, we'll split the profit. She's like, okay, that sounds really great to me. So I move into this house. Now, at this time, you got to remember, this would be like, Ada was born in 88. This would be like 89 or 90. I did not know what a hoarder was. There was no TV shows like Buried Alive, Hoarding. I did not know what a hoarder was. She was a hoarder. I just remember walking in.
Bottles everywhere.
I remember walking into this house. I got pictures. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where do you sit? This house is disgusting. What is wrong with this woman? But looking back, I was like, oh, she was a hoarder, which stuns me that she moved out. She moved out. I moved in. I fixed it up. I put it on the market. I sold it 4 days after I put it on the market, and I made $22,000 profit. And I was like, I've got as much money as you make in a factory in a year. I've got $22,000. I'm never going back to a factory. I'm going to do this again. And so the first one was really an accident. I didn't know how to fix things, so I had to go to Home Depot. At that time, Home Depot did almost daily classes on how to fix things. So I'd go take a class on how to lay tile and measure the bathrooms and the kitchen, and I'd buy it, and I'd go lay the tile. And I'd take a class on how to, like, paint and carpet, and the carpet I had done. And I took a class on how to, like, get up on the roof and, like, spray wash all the roofs. And I took classes on how to put in toilets and how to put in sinks. And Ada would be sleeping at night, and I'd be screwing together cabinets, and I'd be working and getting all this thing done for the next day. So when she'd be asleep at night, I'd be building screens, I'd be putting cabinets together, and just took a class and did it, and took a class and did it. Then I thought, this is not that hard. This is kind of fun. And also, a key is if you're going through a bad divorce or you're going through a bad relationship or a hard time, rehabbing is great. Because I sledgehammered all those cabinets just right off the wall. I busted everything up. I sledgehammered everything. I ripped that house to like shreds, and I was like, I feel so much better.
When's the last time you swung a sledgehammer?
Oh, a sledgehammer, it's been a while, but rehabbing pretty often. We're working on a building right next door, and I was over there helping Bill. Not a lot, just putting things together and helping stuff like that. But yeah, those first couple houses, I just decimated anything that had to be replaced.
I'm going to make sure my wife listens to this one.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Now-
it's the best therapy on the face of the earth.
This is amazing.
I had to replace toilets, and instead of just taking it out, I would just beat it to death with a sledgehammer. And then, all
Nice.
the time, of course, I've got my ex's picture in my right there, going, "What did you do, son, you stupid idiot?" And so when I was all done, I was like, I feel better. I got 22 grand. I got my daughter. Life is amazing.
You just tape your ex-husband's mugshot to all the stuff that you're about to demo and just get out all the aggression, right?
I swear to you, I took out so much aggression.
I can't imagine how many ex-girlfriends Owen has that they do the same thing.
Oh, no. I'm
Owen.
a one-woman man.
Ex.
So you're now. I do want to highlight something. You mentioned that you were door knocking with an 8-month-old in tow. I can't imagine telling in the Florida heat somebody knocks on my door and they've got a small child with them. It would be really hard to say no. I would imagine. But you said if I caught, yeah. So, but you got a lot. You pretty much got all no's. You said, is that? Did you ever?
Yeah, I
catch
got no's and it's funny because I tell people all the time when I teach a class, I go, listen, when you go door knocking, you may not hit anybody for the first couple weeks. I went for, now I'm talking 3 full weeks, 7 days a week with my baby, and everyone was like, no, no, no. I'm like, who can say no to this little cute face right here? And me, and like, who can say no? 3 whole weeks. And I thought, well, I'm only going to give it 1 more week. If God doesn't open the door in the next week, that's 30 full days of door knocking 7 days a week, I'm going to plan something else. And then in that last week, this woman, Barbara, who was also a single mom, going through a divorce, we were in an identical situation, except her husband was not in jail. And we talked, and we decided we could help each other, and we could work together. I said, you move out, I'll move in, I'll fix it, we'll split the profits 2/3. So I'm going to pay for, all the rehab and stuff, and all of it. And she made $11,000, I made $22,000. And I was like, I just remember being so over the moon that I did something I'd never done. And the house was beautiful. And she was thrilled. I was thrilled. And all I could think about was like, because my dad, God loved my dad, but he was like, you can move back to Ohio and you can live in your old bedroom and you can just live here free. So I was like, okay, move back to my dad's. Live in my old bedroom with green shag carpet. Swim into the ocean. Pray that a shark just kills me and eats me. Or I could rehab this house and make a go of it. And when I closed that check and I had that money, I was like, oh my God. I don't have to move back to home. I don't have to get eaten by a shark. I have enough money to do another house. And so I did a second house. And I didn't really know how to calculate numbers. I was so naive. I just didn't know how to do stuff. I didn't know how to calculate numbers. And on that house, I made 50 grand. And that was completely by accident. I thought I was going to make like 10. And I made 50. And I was like, pfft. I got 50 here. I got 22 here. I have reached the epitome of success. I'm never listening to anybody else the rest of my life. I'm going to raise my kid and screw everybody.
What year was this?
That would be like 89 and 90.
I mean that type of money now would be equivalent to almost double, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
For sure. You're talking about more.
And that's the thing. In 19,
serious cash.
Yeah, like in 1990, let's say, I think my dad made like $15,000 or $16,000 a year, and he worked for the power company. That was a really good job. And I said, Dad, I made $22,000. He's like, what? That's more than I make in a year. So I knew it was a lot of money, so I just put it in the bank. But that second deal, I only expected to make like I don't know why. I didn't really know how to calculate numbers, and it didn't cost very much to rehab it. And I'd been to Home Depot so many thousands of times, I felt like I could do it really quickly. And after I made that, I called my dad. I said, listen, I made 50 grand. He's like, girl, you've got like 3 years salary. And I thought, I do. So then part of me was like, let's just take some time off, go to the beach, stop being mad at my ex. Let's take Ayla. Let's just run around. And I thought, no, I already got it going. Let me just keep my momentum going. And next thing you know, like 10 or 15 years later, I had 2,000 deals.
Dang.
I think in 1995, I was making $2.85 an hour minimum wage.
I had what I had called so much money. So now I remember my grandmother's like burying money, putting money in the mattress. So I had like mattress money, and I had money in shoe boxes, and I had money in the bank, and I had it kind of all over the place because I was raised by very Southern people that were not super financially illiterate, and neither was I. So I just had money like all over, hidden boxes, shoe boxes, under the bed, in the mattress, in the bank, in a savings account, in another bank. And I was like, I need to learn what to do with this money. So at that point, I was going back to church, and they had an 8-week financial class, and I took that financial class for 8 weeks, and I was like, I know nothing about money. So I started taking some money classes and reading some books and what I should be doing with this instead of just like putting it in a box between the mattress. My learning curve was very long, and it was very difficult because all the things I learned, I never knew anything about those things. All I knew was I was making money, and my daughter was with me, and I was not going back.
I don't know if this was actually something that Bill said, but in my head, he is a real estate rock star. Is that something he goes by? Does he call himself that?
Yes, the real estate rock star.
So you seem to have an attraction to rock stars. Is that
Apparently I do.
You didn't learn your lesson the first time, but you're still married, so that's good. Now,
that's true.
When you and Bill finally got to the point where you moved to Iowa, maybe timestamp that for us.
No, I moved to Colorado.
Colorado. Okay. So, and that was were you in Denver-ish? Right around that area?
We have a house up in the mountains. It's a little town called Bailey, Colorado. It's way up. We live at 8,000 feet. So what's funny about that is now I was a full-time real estate investor. I didn't marry Bill till my daughter was 13. So I was a full-blown single mom. I got invested in real estate. I opened up a RIA because I thought, well, I know all this stuff. I'm going to get a RIA. I'm a quick learner, and I'm super smart. And I got a RIA, and I had a business partner, and we were cranking out 75 to 100 deals a year. We were just killing it. So by the time I met Bill, I had already done like 800 deals.
Dang.
So at that point, especially having had a RIA group, and it was my partner, her name's Sharon Restrepo, all the men kept asking us out. So we would just say, our standard line was, we don't date real estate investors. Because, here's the thing, you two are guys. If you own a real estate group, an investing group, and you bring a different woman to all the big seminars, they're like, oh, he's the man. But as a woman, if I bring a different man to every big giant event, they're like, she's a real estate hoe. Because that is the difference between the men and the women.
That's actually what Ted is called. That's one of his nicknames.
Yeah,
he's a real estate hoe.
Yes.
My wife runs the front door, just so you know.
So Sharon and I made a deal right in the beginning when we started working together. I said, listen, I just want to raise my daughter. Her husband had tragically passed away in a motorcycle accident. She didn't want to date. And I said, every event, every big 3-day workshop, everything we go to, we get invited to, we speak to, we take no men. We just, tell people we're business partners, and that's that. Well, everybody else thought Sharon and I were a couple.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time, because we were partners.
Air quotes.
Then I was like, oh my God, they all think we're gay. What the hell? So we just never brought anybody to anything. And then when I met Bill, we got invited to speak in Colorado by Bill Bronchak. Do you know Bill Bronchak?
I'm going to let you continue on with this because I have a kind of a fun backstory that connects you and I. You have no idea.
So Bill Bronchick invited us to speak in Colorado. Now at this point, I've already been single for a decade. So I am making a list. I've got a list right here. I'm making a list of what I want in my next man. So I have like blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, Christian, has a house in the mountains of Colorado so I can snowboard back and forth because I've been skiing now and I love Colorado. I've got this whole list right here. So when I meet Bill, I'm like, so how many deals have you done? And he's like 800. So I know 800 is a lot. He's not like some newbie guy that's trying to impress me. I'm like, okay. I'm like, how many kids? And I also had on my list, I want someone that had kids or didn't have kids but didn't want me to have kids. I had a daughter. Okay. She's like going to be 13. I don't want to have any more babies. And I'm like, okay, he's got 2 kids. And I was like, are you Christian? Yeah. Do you live in the mountains? He says, yeah, I have a house at 8,000 feet. So in my mind, I'm going, check, 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 check. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy right here, I'm going to marry this man. This is the man I'm going to marry.
This is like the analog days of Tinder. So
yes.
It's all in a notebook, right? You had your list. No, that's funny. Like you were describing probably the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of men that are available out there, but you actually found him. So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. So then when I met him at Bill Bronchick's thing, Sharon and I were invited to a 3-day event. And we're from Florida, and this is in Colorado, and it's like our very first 3-day event, so we don't know. So we go stay for the whole 3 days. We want to see the speakers. We want to meet everybody. We want to learn what a 3-day event is because we're speaking at our little RIA, but we don't know anything about, like, outside of our RIA. So we go for the whole 3 days, and I find out later speakers kind of fly in and speak and leave. But back then in the early 90s, the speakers would stay all 3 days, and we'd all hang out in the bars at night and talk and get to know each other. And it was like a party, like a 3-day party. So when I met Bill, I remember just looking at him and thinking, like, Lord have mercy. This man's got long hair. It's curly. It's in a ponytail. He's wearing a suit. He's got cowboy boots. I'm like, if that man's single, that's who I'm marrying right there. and within 4 days we were like, he's like, listen, you know I'm going to marry you, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. So within 4 days we were already like, this is it.
Wow, that is awesome. So I think this might be a good segue into how I knew your name before like any of this. So in about 2003, I started researching real estate. So this was obviously way before, YouTube and like all the stuff out there. So it was all books. And I remember specifically, I picked up a book, and if I'm not mistaken, it was called Short Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing.
Yay, my book!
And the co-authors, and I remember Sharon Restrepo and Dwan
Sharon
Bent-Twyford.
Restrepo.
Yep, and I read that book.
At that time, it would have said Dwan Bent.
Dwan Bent. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I do remember Dwan because I was like, I have never met anyone with that name. But I read that book because at the time, I was trying to figure out, I know I want to do real estate. It's the way. I just don't know. There's so much like lease options, short sales, foreclosure investing, rental properties, multifamily, like all the stuff, right? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just need to learn a little bit about a lot and figure out of what I read, what do I want to concentrate on? So that's, but one of your books was kind of the precursor to where I am now in my, I guess, career path. So thank you for that because that was very helpful information.
Thank you for saying that to me. That really makes me feel good.
I still have that book, and if I would have had a lot more foresight, I would have brought that with me because and done a little prop setting here. But that was really good. Now you have written a couple other books, if not more. I have 2 written down, or 2 that I noted. Is there more? Like how many books have you published?
Well, I wrote. So we got asked by Wiley Publishing to. That's why I always tell people, like, a lot of people write books and publish their own books, but we actually got approached by Wiley Publishing to publish a short sale book. So it's called Short Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing. And it did really well because back then, Amazon was just books. And we were number one on Amazon for days.
Mm-hmm.
And then they asked if we'd write a second book. The second book was How to Sell Your House when it's worth less. See the wine.
Yeah.
How to sell your house when it's worth
If we
less
go
than
2
the
hours, we're gonna
mortgage.
be fun.
Most of our listeners are drunk already anyway, so it's fine.
Well, listen, I got this whole bottle left, so we're going to talk till I'm out of
Oh, yeah.
wine.
That's going to be good.
Anyway, the second book was called How to Sell Your House When It's Worth Less Than the Mortgage. And the publishing company said, I want you to write this book to homeowners. So I wrote to homeowners, like, hey, listen, if you're losing your house, you can do a loan modification. You can do a forbearance agreement. You can file a bankruptcy. You can ask for a short sale. You can ask for this. You can ask for that. And that one became a number one. And I remember the day that book came out, I'd emailed all my lists and said, hey, everyone, go to Amazon, buy both the books. If you don't have them both, buy them both, buy them both, buy them both. And, of course, I've got pictures for like 2 days. Those were number one and number two on Amazon for like 2 full days. So I've got all these screenshots. Look at me. I'm number one, number two on Amazon. Buy my book. And then I did a couple other books. I did one called No Joke Marketing that I wrote with somebody else about. They wrote about the marketing and I wrote about how it affects the homeowners. Then I wrote a book with Steve Forbes. I got called and I wrote a book with Steve Forbes called Success-O-Nomics. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm writing a book with Steve Forbes. I have reached the pinnacle.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then I wrote one From Denny's to Diamonds, which I kind of wrote for myself. I never published it yet, but I think this year might be my year to publish it because I worked at Denny's. So I wrote the book From Denny's to Diamonds, but I think I'm going to kind of restructure that book and maybe release it this year on my own. Just about like going from that to this.
Yeah.
Like when I waited tables at Denny's, I never thought I was going to be like a multimillionaire speaker, investor, trainer, owning a town.
But also, didn't you coin the term short sale?
I did. I have the registered trademark. The registered trademark on short sales, and it is called a subliminal trademark. The reason it's called subliminal is because short sales is a term that's used in the stock market when they short stocks. It's used in a couple different markets. So I have the R in short sales as it applies to real estate.
Interesting. Okay.
So then I went ahead and coined the queen of short sales. So I also have a registered trademark on the queen of short sales.
So what's that do for you? Like, did somebody have to pay you every time they use it?
No. I mean, honestly, yeah, they could. I could write to every single person that's ever written a book and demand something. But I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I've got short sales. I started it. I invented it. I made it. I invented an entire leg of the real estate industry on my own with no knowledge of what I was doing. I trademarked it. And so I feel like that's good enough for me. If people want to write books and they want to talk about it and they want to do all that, hey, listen, all the better for me. But to actually go back to every single person and like try to make them stop using the word, all the stuff like that, that is so labor intensive and so costly for an attorney. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I coined it, I phrased it, I started it, I built it, I structured it. So everyone that does it after that, it all based off what I did. So I'm just really proud of myself that in the massive industry of real estate, I was able to build a leg of it.
The true queen of short sale right here.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, could you talk about what it's like living in a town where you're very visible and you take on projects that include, facades and storefronts and things like that everybody that lives in that town goes by and uses every day. What are the pros and cons of being in a type of a situation like that where you've got the limelight right on you? Yeah.
In Clinton? Okay. So Bill's from Clinton. And even when we were just dating, his high school is one of those high schools that do reunions every 5 years. And like hundreds of them show up. Like my high school did a 10, a 20, and a 40. Like,
okay.
They're so lame. This is every
Mine
5
too.
years, and everybody comes. So we went to the first one, and he was driving me around downtown and showing me this was the Sears, this was the J.C. Penney's, this was that. Then we came back a second time, so 5 years later. It's like, Bill, all these buildings are boarded up. Are they not doing like some kind of a rebeautification, or aren't they doing something here? So we're here for a week or two. So we go to the city. They go, oh yeah, we have the SMID, which I can't tell you what it stands for right now. And the SMID has grants, money, opportunity zones, tax credits. They'll give you grants for basically everything in the face of the earth. I said, we should buy a building or two to kind of like, they're focusing. They've got millions of dollars to bring back the downtown. So why don't we buy a building and we can be a part of it? Now, if you don't know me and Bill that well, which y'all don't know us that well yet, we tend to go overboard on literally every single thing on the face of the earth. So we bought a building. It was listed for 150 or something, but we knew the people owned it had already moved to Arizona, so we paid like 25 grand. So we bought the building, this building I'm in, right next door, for like 25 or 30 grand. That's 20,000 square feet. Used to be the old J.C. Penney's. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do with it? Because it needed a lot of work. It was sitting there looking like a J.C. Penney's 1,000 years ago. So you know what we did? I said, let's put it in an antique mall. That'd be fun. I like antiques. We go antiquing. Let's put it in an antique mall. So I put it in an antique mall with no knowledge of how to run an antique mall. I said, we'll just use real estate. We got 20,000 square feet. People they rent 10 by 10 spaces for $100 a month. We'll make a bunch of 10 by 10 spaces. We'll rent them for $100 a month, and we'll fill it up. And boom, the thing was full. It's like, okay.
Wow.
And then we bought then we had a woman that called and said, hey, I heard you bought the antique mall. Carol, she's like, I've got 3 buildings. My husband's dead for a decade. My buildings are boarded up. I'll sell you my buildings. And we said, well, we couldn't possibly do it unless you own and finance it. So she did. Well, then her friend, because she moved to Florida, she's 82. Then her friend's like, hey, I heard you bought Carol's building. My husband has also been gone for a decade. I would like to move to Florida. Will you buy my building? So all these little old ladies that are like, I don't know if they're in the Rotary Club or what the hell they're in, they're calling on the regular, and we're just like, no, no, no. You'd have to own and finance it, like 6 months with no payments. We can't do it. And the long and short of it is we have 28 buildings.
Oh, man, that is crazy.
We just kept taking them. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned before that you had a property in the mountains that Bill was luring you into courtship with, and you had the place in Clinton, obviously.
Yeah, we don't. That's where we live. We're based out of Colorado. The house I had in Florida. So listen, I'm a beach girl. I will absolutely not give up the beach. So we need to do 50-50 when the kids move out. 50 in Florida, 50 in Colorado. I'm not going to not move away from the beach. Like, that was a deal breaker for me. So we raised the kids in Colorado just because they ride dirt bikes and 4-wheelers, and it's so much like, space. And in Florida, it's a gated community. So we kept the house in Colorado. We kept the house in Florida. And then now we started buying stuff in Iowa. So we kind of divide our time between all 3 places now. It's the craziest thing. I never thought in my life I'd own a building in the Midwest. I couldn't wait to escape the Midwest.
Now, when you're going to, like, because if you have 3 different places, I have some older guys that I play golf with, and they have like summer places or winter places in like Phoenix and Florida and that kind of thing. Do you have to set your whole year where you're like, okay, 4 months here, 4 months here, and you plan ahead, and you're like, we have to close up the house and winterize it and like get it all ready, or do you Airbnb any of those?
No. So the house in Florida, I go down every 3 months and I stay for a month.
Okay.
I go by myself. So here's what Bill did. Bill, you know how y'all men promise women all this stuff to get them to marry you. And he's like, oh no, when the kids graduate, we'll live 6 months in Florida, 6 months in Colorado. It'll be great. I'll do it. So the last kid graduates. He goes down for one winter season. He's like, oh, I don't have anything to do down here. I've got nothing to build, nothing to work on. I can't go to the beach every day because Bill has to be building and working every moment of the day to be happy. Excuse me. The wine's giving me the hiccups. I can't imagine I was drinking what you guys are drinking. I think I'd be slopping and slurring all over the place. So we went down to Florida. I know. When I see you guys, I want to have some of those. So we went to Florida for the 6 month, and I could see he was struggling because, like, the house, I had built it from scratch. It's beautiful. It doesn't need anything. So he did, a few things here and there. And he's like, listen, I have to be busy every second of the day. I'm like, that's okay. So the next year we went down. He stayed like 3 months. I was like, hey, that's okay. And so then it got to where he's like, oh, do I have to go to Florida with you? And I'm like, you don't have to go with me, but you can't stop me from going. So now I go every 3 months for a month. And when I'm in Florida, I see my girlfriends, my friends. I run around. I go to the beach. I do all that. He's fine with it because he either stays in Colorado or comes to Iowa. So because we have so much happening in Iowa, usually about every 6 weeks, we come here and stay for like right now we're here for 2 weeks. And we come and stay for like 2 weeks, and then we'll drive back, and then we'll come out, and then we'll go back. And then when I'm in Florida, he stays here in Iowa the whole time. So we're not like locking up and boarding houses because we're really in all of them all the time.
Okay, question for you. You've been doing this quite a while. And you like you mentioned, you started when you were a single mom, had a baby on your hip, and we're doing, door knocking. And, here you are, fast forward, you've got hundreds, if not over 1,000 deals under your belt. You have, 2 nice homes that you can vacation to. Yeah, 2,000 deals. Good Lord. That might be a record on our podcast.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, 315 prior episodes. I don't think we've ever had.
We've had more units, but not houses.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when I hear people and I say, oh, I've done 2,000 deals, sometimes I'm like, who's everybody talking about? That cannot possibly be me. The little girl from Ohio that
factory worker
killed chickens on Sunday and chopped off their heads to have a Sunday dinner.
Steal moonshine.
Yeah. Hey, now, so
I still have moonshine.
Nice. With that many deals that you have done over the years, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but can you think of one that really stands out as something that you're either really proud of, satisfied with, or maybe that was your best deal that you ever did?
Gosh, I don't know. I have so many good deals. Now, a lot of them I wholesaled. Mm-hmm. Some of them I rehabbed and sold. Some of them I owned and financed and sold. But I just don't have like a very best deal because I have loved, and I have a couple of deals that were like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I have a couple of bad deals. But I honestly, looking back over everything, I think the best thing for me that's been the most fun is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Because, we bought a building. We didn't really, we don't know a lot about commercial. So what I'm doing now is new to me.
Yep.
And
exciting.
After 35 years of investing, and we've been doing this like the last 5, there's not very many things that are new to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do a house or we'll do a storage. Oh, look at that. What do you all got? What is that?
It's a refill.
These are just props.
What is that?
Four Roses bourbon.
But we are looking for sponsors.
Yeah, we're trying out some. We're looking for the highest offer.
When I come and see you guys, we're drinking that.
Perfect. We'll take you up
and
on it.
And we're going to come in the studio and we're going to drink and we're going to do that. I want to see you burn the oranges.
And we'll roast some oranges for you, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we do it upright.
Okay. So, I started off rehabbing because that's all I knew. These 2 guys said, buy them, fix them up, and sell them. And then I discovered wholesaling, and wholesaling is where I started doing 75, 80 deals a year because I knew how to put in the time. I knew how to door knock. I wasn't shy, and I was killing deals then. And then I started learning about, rentals, like buy them and keep them for rentals. And then I started learning subject too. So I really learned everything kind of in just progression. But what Bill and I are doing here, this is like new to me and new to Bill. So we're buying buildings, we're getting the opportunity zone grants, we're getting grants for facades and murals, and we're doing this and that. So what I'm doing right now probably is the most fun because every single thing we're doing is new to me.
Yep.
And it's been a long time since anything was new.
I get that.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one little proud moment of my time here in Iowa? Okay,
Sure.
So listen, Clinton, Iowa is a very small town. And if you guys know, small town people are very small-minded.
Yep. He's pointing at me.
Point to you. So the way the downtown
small-minded,
is
though.
3 blocks wide and 3 blocks deep. And it's on the Mississippi River. So it's 3 blocks by 3, so it's 9 blocks. That's considered the downtown. That's where the opportunity zone is, the grants, the murals, the facades, all the money they're going to give you. So, and each building owner, you get a vote for each building, or you get a vote for each parcel of land that you have. So when we first came in, I'm like a big Hallmark girl. I said, hey, listen, let's do Christmas in July. I got outvoted. They said, no, we tried Christmas in July 10 years ago. It doesn't make any money. Well, if you know anything about Hallmark movies, they make the most amount of money on Christmas in July versus what they make at Christmas.
I did not.
So nobody would do it. So Bill and I were like, screw it. We're going to do it in our antique mall. We're going to do Christmas in July in our antique mall. We had 500 people that came through our mall that weekend.
Wow.
And everybody else in town was mad. I'm like, we gave you all the opportunity to do it. Then I said we have to have a fall fest, a winter fest, an October fest, just like the movies do, because those are the seasons and people do shit like that. So then we found out we only had a couple votes. So we bought a building over here that's 6 parcels. It's a parking lot, it's a storage unit, it's got a couple buildings, but it's 6 or 7 parcels. And then we tried to say, hey, let's do Oktoberfest, and we kept getting voted out. People oh, we tried that 10 years ago and it didn't work. I'm like, yeah, 10 years ago, but with what people? We're here now. We want to make shit happen. And so finally,
all the votes.
yeah, and after get voted out for 2 full years, getting voted down on everything, I called the guy and I said, listen, how many votes do I need to have to control the vote? Because Bill and I think bigger. I feel like if you have one antique mall, you should have 20 because people will come here and antique all day. If you have a brewery, you should have 5 because people will come and spend the day here. If you have consignment, people will spend the day. You can't have one of everything because it doesn't make this a destination stop. And we're trying to make this a destination stop. So the guy says you need 22 votes to control the vote. So we bought a building that was 4 parcels and 2 parcels for the parking lot. On top of that, we had 28 votes. So we go to the next meeting. We say, hey, we want to do a Christmas tree lighting, just like in the movies, a Christmas tree lighting, little hot chocolate stand. All they go, no, we vote. And I said, well, listen, not to make anybody mad, but we bought 2 extra things, so we control the vote. So here's what we're doing from now on.
That's a boss move.
Everybody was mad. People wouldn't speak to us. But now we have a Winter Fest, a Mardi Gras, a Spring Fest, a Christmas in July, Oktoberfest, Christmas tree lighting, and thousands of people come down here now. So after a few years of trying to play nice, I'm like, listen, what is wrong with you guys? They're like, well, I have the cupcake shop. We don't need more cupcake shops. I need 20 cupcake shops. The more you have, the more people will come. You can't be jealous of another person opening what you have, because the more you have, the more people will stop here for the day. They spend the day here. They want to eat breakfast. They want to eat lunch. They want to have a drink. They want to have a glass of wine. They want to go antique shopping. They want to go clothing shopping. They want to do everything. The more we have of the same things, the more people will come. So after Bill and I finally pulled a gangster move and just bought the votes, so I was like, oh my God, I pulled a total gangster move. I came to the next meeting like, listen, Bill and I are gangsters. We don't have time to mess with all your small-minded shit. We bought all the votes. Here's what we're doing from now on. And the last 3 years, This town has gone up in value 55%, and every Thursday they block off the streets for music. 2,000 people come down here.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we just took over. We're tired of you guys. We're taking over.
Yeah, so didn't Gwyneth Paltrow buy an entire town? Am I making this up? It seems like that was the thing. She bought like an entire.
I know Julia Roberts bought a town.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know. I know Julia Roberts bought a town.
I think Chappelle
I
has a
know
town.
that Kim Basinger bought a town.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm getting my stories mixed up here, but basically you're trying to usurp the Hollywood folk and owning the town of Clinton, Iowa, and coming in and making all the rules. I like it.
Kim Basinger bought Braselton, Georgia.
Okay.
And
So she bought a town thinking that based on her name, she could make it a tourist destination. And we're not trying to make a tourist destination. We're trying to get lots of bubble shops, lots of coffee shops, like a restaurant, lots and lots and lots. So we buy buildings and say, hey, listen, if you'll rent this building and put it in a barbecue shop, we'll give you 6 months for your rent. Move down here because we're trying to make this a destination. The two towns on each side of us, one is called LeClaire, and LeClaire is where, the guys from the American Pickers?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They have their shop there, right?
So the American Pickers guys had a garage in LeClaire, and every single building was boarded up. When Pickers became big, every single building now has a restaurant, candy shop, pizza shop, antique malls. And when you go over there, you got to wait 2 hours to eat lunch or dinner. They're packed because the Pickers were there. The town next door is called Galena, and they kept buying further and deeper. They have 10 blocks of like 4 lanes, and they are so packed and so busy. I'm like, this town, Clinton's not going to make it unless somebody starts opening the town up for other people. So after a couple of years, Bill and I don't have a lot of patience. You'll find it if the longer you know us. It's like when we want something done, we want it done today, and when you don't agree, we're just going to buy you out and do what we want anyway.
Oh, I love that. So you're basically
like, oh my God, I'm going to hell.
putting an assemblage together in a small town and steamrolling everybody else that has it. But I do like the approach of, and maybe this is an Iowa thing, since Field of Dreams was based out of a field in Iowa. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
That's your basic business model for Clinton, right? So you're attracting, basically turning something that's not really anything into a destination location, encouraging competition with smaller businesses. I agree. I mean, you have the small business owner mindset that's like, I don't want more competition because therefore I'm going to lose customers, business, my profit, my ability to pay my bills. But you're like, there is enough for everybody to eat. Let's make this a location where people want to come and spend money and make this a day trip or a couple day trip. It's very cool. I will say, they always say pioneers are the ones with the arrows in their back. And then the second people that come along are the ones that can make the less risky decisions. But kudos to you guys for being the pioneers of a town like that. I can tell you personally from being, from small town Iowa, my mom wrote a lot of grants for community development projects there. So she was responsible for the grant to expand the public library. She was involved in the community center expansion and rehab. And man, I'm so proud of her for doing that. And I mean, I will say, you and I don't know each other, and you're not my family, but I'm proud of people that do that because it is not easy. And you get so much resistance from people that are used to doing things a certain way. They're maybe stuck in, kind of the small town mindset. But you have somebody that's progressive and comes along, and sometimes you got to force the issue for progress.
You do.
Yeah, and now look at it. Like you mentioned, there's so many festivals and things that are attracting people that are coming in, spending their hard-earned money, making it a win for all. That because people need things. Maybe they're going there to go antiquing, but they also need food. They need a place to stay. They need to buy stuff.
And a bunch of people have started doing Airbnbs. They took the casino that was down on the river on a showboat and they moved it like out here. But when they moved that casino, they built like 10 hotels around it, like a Hampton and a Holiday Inn, whatever. So people now have the ability to come. There's Airbnbs downtown, but there's lots of hotels out there, And we even did a thing called TNT, which was a country music festival that the city agreed to do it for 3 years in a row. And it's a 4-day country music festival with like, I don't know, Jelly Roll and
Oh, wow.
just country people. And they did it for 3 years. And then they're like, we're not going to do it again. Like, why? Like, well, because people don't spend enough money downtown. They just spend money at the event. It's like, you guys, 75,000 people came 3 days in a row, 3 years in a row. What the hell's wrong with you people? So Bill and I find ourselves on the outskirts, just thinking bigger. And I get it. If you've lived here your whole life and you have your one building and your business is downstairs and your apartment's upstairs, and that's your whole life. Like, I totally get that. But you're not going to become a millionaire. You're not going to grow. Nothing's going to happen until you expand everything to everybody.
So, Dwan, I did some research for you. Here's the top 10 people that own towns. You ready? And your name's going to be on it soon.
Mm-hmm.
We already mentioned Kim Basinger. Johnny Depp owns Gaston, France.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Roy Rogers owns Pioneer Town, California. Bruce Willis, Haley, Idaho. Tyler Perry, Douglasville, Georgia. Mel Gibson owns Mago Island, Fiji, which sounds like a great place to own. Russell Crowe, Nina Glen, Australia. George Lucas owns Skywalker Ranch, California. Perfect.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood owns Carmel by the Sea, California. And last, Oprah Winfrey owns Maui, Hawaii.
What?
Pretty soon your name will be up there.
Well, you know what's really funny? Because you said this earlier. How does it feel being a little town where everybody knows you? Here's the thing. Bill is like the money guy. He got on the board of like, now I may say this wrong, but he's on the board of like the building. He gets on the board of everything. So when we come to Iowa, it is so weird because everybody knows Bill by name. Everywhere we go. And then when they see me, they go, oh my God, you're Bill's wife. Nobody in this town knows my name.
You're like, you know
Really?
how many books I've written?
Yeah. Wow.
He goes to the board meetings and they're like, oh, Bill Twyford. Then they see me, they go, because he'll introduce me. But my name's Dwan, so it's a little bit difficult, you know. And they'll see me out and they'll go, oh my God, Bill's wife. What the hell? How you doing, girl? I go to the restaurants. Bill's wife, how are you doing? I see like the mayor who's had us to his house for Christmas. Bill's wife, what's up, girl? Nobody in this town calls me Dwan.
My wife hates that.
Yeah, mine does too.
And I like it because it's like Bill is the front person in this project. I come up with all the ideas with him, but he's the guy that will go out and sit at these endless meetings and have these endless boring lunches that I can't even like stand to sit with these people. He'll go do all this stuff because, you know, he wants, I mean, we both want to make this town giant and great and beautiful again because we have like $2.5 million cash invested in this town. But in this town, other than my employees, everybody calls me Bill's wife.
It sounds like we need to do a road trip. It's only 4.5 hours from here.
I'm down.
Yes.
I do.
You
So
should
you're.
come. Oh my God, we have a 2-bedroom apartment. You stay with us. We'll walk you through everything. You'll be like, holy cow, this is so amazing. So yeah. And I ran into a guy named Matt the other day who's like the building administrator. I've talked to this guy 40,000 times. And I said, what's my name? And he goes,
Bill's wife.
I can't remember. Yeah. So when I'm here, I'm absolutely nobody at all. I'm just Bill's wife, and I like it just fine like that. So I can go out and run around town. Nobody really knows who I am. But when they see Bill, they're like, oh, my God, Bill Twyford. He's in our restaurant. Next thing you know, 80 people are sitting with us.
I do like that approach, though, because it's almost like you're the general and he's on the front lines as the infantry grunt. So you just make decisions and send him out, and he gets all the blowback, and you're sitting back and he's executing the plan. Yeah, I like that. Now, I do want to cover one more thing, and then we'll start kind of toward our last questions for you. But Bill went through a pretty major health scare.
I still got wine left, so you better have a lot more to talk about.
Okay, well, we got it. So Bill went through a pretty major health scare, and I'm curious to hear your perspective on what that's like to be the spouse of somebody who's going through, something that's really challenging like that.
Bill was diagnosed with something called myelofibrosis. It is a death sentence. So myelofibrosis. So what happened? Let me just real quickly. Bill had a heart attack and he had the widowmaker. And he survived the widowmaker, which was like, now that I know about the widowmaker, I think of the widowmaker like out of 100% of the people that make it to the hospital, 1% live. It's the one that drops you to the floor and you're just dead. So he had the widowmaker. We got him to the hospital in time. From there, he got diagnosed with something called polythysemia. Polythysemia means that it's like, I'll give you an example. The three of us, we make red blood cells every day, right?
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Yes. So let's imagine a light switch. We turn it on for 12 hours and we make red blood cells, and we shut it off for 12 hours and we stop. And then we can live a fine life. Bill's was like a light switch was on where he made red blood cells 24 hours a day, but he made big fat red bloods, big fat, like this might be ours, this was his. So these big fat red blood cells can't get through the arteries and the veins, and he had the widowmaker. So from the widowmaker, they just discovered he had a thing called polythysemia vera. Polythysemia vera means you're making big fat red blood cells. So for 8 years, he took 2 chemo pills a day, and those 2 chemo pills a day kill enough of the red blood cells that he can just function. And then in 1 out of like 1.2 million people, it progresses into a thing called myelofibrosis. And that, of course, Bill being the big rock star had to progress to the myelofibrosis. So the myelofibrosis is the same thing. It's the big red blood cells, but because they're so big, as they slide through your bone marrow, they make your bone marrow like a slide where you can't absorb them. They just slide through. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yep.
So you have a slide and you have a sponge. Your bone marrow is a sponge that sucks in all the blood cells. And then after this type of a cancer, it turns your bone marrow, like inside your bone, this marrow turns into a slide. So all the blood cells just slide through and your body doesn't absorb them. And you can't live without red blood cells. So myelofibrosis is a disease that the only cure, or the only possible cure, is that you go into a hospital, you stay for 30 days, you have heavy chemo that actually kills your bone marrow, and then you get a transfusion of stem cells and bone marrow from a donor, and because your bone marrow is dead, as your bone marrow starts growing, these new stem cells go in there and they make new bone marrow for you. So if you can't find a donor, you can't find anyone to match your bone marrow, you have a maximum of 3 years to live. And that's just because they give you medication to like slow down your blood production, but there is no cure whatsoever. So I told Bill, I said, listen, you're Bill Twyford. Of course you would have myelofibrosis, the most deadly thing. Why would I expect anything else from you? You always have the most of everything. So we call it the Bill Twyford disease in our family. So he went to a company called Be The Match, and Be The Match looks for people that match your bone marrow. I couldn't match. None of the kids matched. His 3 siblings were no more than 1/3 of a match, and needed a 100% match to even try to make it through. So through Be The Match, we found a 22-year-old female. This is part of the story that's funny. 22-year-old female. Her stem cells match Bill's exactly. They checked 12 points. She had 12 points. Checked 12 points. So they called her, and we don't know who she is yet. They called her. She said, yep, I'll do it. Most of the people that donate and do that would Be The Match are people in the medical field. So she probably was a nurse or something. And she said, yep, I'll do it. So we took Bill, dropped him at the hospital. He was there for 30 days alone. They gave him chemo. They killed everything, even his bone marrow. And they gave him the stem cells the next day. And then your body's supposed to start with those new stem cells and rebuild your bone marrow and rebuild your blood and rebuild all your stuff. And luckily, Bill was one of the ones that had a really good result. 60% of the people died within the first 30 days. And
Wow.
I said, Bill, listen, you can take medicine that maybe will give you 2 or 3 years at the best. Or you can do this and 60% of dying, but you got a 40% of living. Let's just go for it. We go for everything. Let's just go for it. So in the hospital, he got the stem cell. Her stem cells took. They started rebuilding Bill's immune system. So Bill and I had to live in a special apartment like the boy in the bubble for a year. Just me and Bill, like the boy in the bubble for a year. And every day I had to clean out his ports and give him his medicine and make him his food and do all the things they said to do. And everything took. And within 2 years, he was back to being his amazing self. But let me tell you two things I did not know. He was A negative blood type. And he is now her blood type, which is O positive. Now, through all the things I read, nowhere did I read that your blood type can change. So Bill was A negative. His blood type now is O positive. He has identical blood work and DNA to this girl. Identical. Like if they each committed a murder, you couldn't convict either one because it's identical. So it took him about 2 years to come through it. In the meantime, we lived in special housing, and which was 85 HEPA filters. It was at a hotel. They cleaned the apartment every day. They bleached the walls every day. Germs. Just everything was about germs. And he started coming around, and now it's been, in March, it'll be 5 years. And he's amazing, and he's healed, and he's happy, and he's got A negative blood type, and everything came back. His whole body, everything came back. But there's 2 things that are super funny. He never ate meat. Bill's kind of a vegetarian. He eats steak every single solitary day. He craves steak like a crazy person. And now he has to go get mammograms.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh.
No, I laughed too. I'm like, what do you mean? They said he has female DNA. At this point, she's 27. He has to go get mammograms. So we're getting ready to go in like 2 weeks. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to go do our mammograms, get our boobs pushed up. We're going to get mammograms together. So he has to get mammograms for the rest of his life. And I was like, what? It said he's got female DNA. He has her exact identical DNA. So anything she's allergic to, any food she doesn't like, any food she loves, he's like that. He eats steak every single solitary day. And this man went 10 years as a vegetarian. He eats steak like it's nobody's business. And he's got to get mammograms. So I can't wait to get our first one together. I'm going to put him in that thing that squishes your boobs.
Yeah, it's like
so he can feel
like
what it's like being a woman.
like a couple's massage that you go, but in this case you're just getting mammograms. But that was one of my actual. When you started telling the story, I was thinking how does it feel to be like part woman or be married to somebody that's part woman now? And then we have a good family friend that has a daughter that's going through not exactly what you're talking about, but she is adopted from China, and they basically she has a rare genetic blood disorder that causes her to basically her blood count just hits rock bottom. So she can't produce the amount necessary.
Bill's was off the charts.
Okay, so this is kind of the opposite of that.
So what is she doing?
She was on the list, the donor list for bone marrow transplant, which supposedly will cure the thing that she has, and I can't remember the name of it. It's some rare disorder. But so she had, she went out. They were looking for a match, and they had everyone that was a match lived in Asia, most of them in China, which is, she's from China originally. So the problem was like getting those people to actually come here because, like our really good friend, my wife's best friend, it's her daughter that's going through this. They adopted 2 kids from China, and the one we're talking about has this. And so she's been in the hospital, has to get like 1 million transfusions because her blood count just craters, and she'll like get dizzy and faint, and like she's almost died like a whole bunch of times. Yeah. And so they finally got one of the matches that they had was actually a kid that is from China, but she's going to school in the U.S. And we just found out 2 days ago. My wife did. She showed me the text. She found out
Thank
that
the Lord.
the girl agreed to do it, so that they set the transplant date for it's in like a week. Wow. So this was a huge deal. So you were talking about all this. I was like kind of mentally cycling through what's going on, with this situation. Like it's so stressful. Like I'm so empathetic to them. Like every time I hear an update, my heart just breaks because I've known that kid since she was like 2 years old. So.
Dwan, at any point during this process, did you guys ever have that conversation in preparation for the fact that this wouldn't work, or did you guys always stay positive and always think that this was this?
Bill and I are those people that truly, at the depths of our soul, they're the people that go, "Let's just jump off the mountain and we'll make wings on the way down." And the thing is this, and that it's funny you guys talk about that. This myelofibrosis really showed us who we really, really, really are, because 60% don't make it so they put you in 90-day increments. You go in the hospital for 30 days and you go live in this bubble where I am fully responsible. Me and Bill, fully responsible. I read the binder, 300 pages. I read that freaking binder 500 times. I had to take classes. I had to talk to a counselor. I had to do this and that. And I was like, listen. I finally told the counselor, I said, listen, honey, I really love you, but you keep bringing up all these negative things. I don't want to talk to you anymore because you're not helping me. My husband's going to make it, and I don't want to hear how I may or may not feel down the road. I said, you're a total downer. You should not be a counselor.
Did the kids feel that way too, though?
So we sat down with our kids. We had 3 kids and we had grandkids, and we sat down and we said, listen, we can take the pills for 2 or 3 years. So here was the deciding factor. Dr. Ali is Bill's stem cell doctor, and he is actually rated one of the top guys in the world. And when we were originally getting the stem cell transplant, we had a different doctor, and he says, I'm retiring in February. I'm going to go play golf in Arizona, and Dr. Ali is going to step in. So this original guy wanted to do the transplant February 1st, but February 15th, Dr. Ali was going to step in, and that was going to be it. So I just was like, you know what? I'm putting out my bitch shield right now. I got to protect my husband. I said, listen, you're leaving within 2 weeks of Bill's stem cell transplant to go play golf in Arizona. You're never going to be available. I don't want you to do it. You're retiring and leaving. Your mind is not here. Dr. Ali's coming. We're going to wait. He's no, you can't wait. You can't wait. I said, yeah, we can wait. We can wait because you're not in it to win it. You're in it to do it, and you're leaving. Ali's moving here from another country, and this is his lifelong job. I want him. So the first doctor was mad at me. Said, I don't even care about you. You're leaving. So in my opinion, you're out. Dr. Ali comes in. And so I was the one. I said, listen, let me ask you a question. If Bill does the pills that they recommend, they're chemo pills. If he does the chemo pills for the next 3 years, which will extend his life, but if in the meantime he develops anything whatsoever, will he still be able to do the stem cell transplant? And they said no. They go, if he develops a heart condition, a kidney condition, anything else, he will be off the list. He will be a no. I said, okay, so what you're telling me is Bill's the healthiest he's ever going to be today. If we take these pills that you and everyone else recommend to give you extended life, if anything happens in the meantime, he won't qualify. He said, that's exactly right. I said, well, we don't need to talk about it. Schedule the transplant. We're in. And Bill's like, no, we're in. We're not going to wait, because if we wait, and anything at all, even like a high blood pressure, anything, you don't qualify.
Yeah.
And I said, no, we're not doing it. Schedule it right now. And Bill's like, what do you think? He's like, no, I agree with her. Schedule it now. I said, listen, I would rather he die now than we try to buy 3 years and something happens and he can't do it and he doesn't have the chance to live. Right now, he has the chance to live. So we're doing it. So they had that thing scheduled, and they were like, are you sure? I'm like, we don't need to think about stuff. Bill, don't need to think about it. he's got the best chance today. We're doing it today. And in 2 months, he was in there living in the hospital. And the funny thing is, Bill rang that cancer bell on the first day. Like, you can't ring that on the first day. He goes, I'm claiming myself healed. I'm ringing this damn thing every day. So every day, he's like, I'm healed, I'm healed, I'm healed. He rang that bell. And the doctors are like, you can't do it that way. And he's like, I don't give a shit. I'm healed. So he spent a month. He came to me. I had no idea what I was doing. But I was like, I read the book. I read the binder. I took the classes. I'm so prayed up. We got it. And now he's coming up on 5 years, and he's amazing.
But to wrap up that conversation, though, you were talking about sitting the kids down. Like, what was the kids' opinion on all this? How do you guys have those conversations?
So we have 3 kids, and they all have spouses. I said, hey, come to the house. We got to have a talk with you. And I said, listen, Dad has myelofibrosis. He could take this medication that will guarantee to extend his life 3 years. We can do the stem cell transplant. He's got a 60% chance he won't make it. He's got a 40% chance he will. We want to go into this as a family. Dad and I would rather jump in now, because if anything happens in this time period, there's a 0 chance he can have it done. He 100% dies. And very proudly, we have raised our kids to like, let's jump in at the best chance that we have. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, we doesn't. But we didn't wait so long that he wasn't eligible.
Yeah.
So all 3 kids, I said, you guys all go home. You come back. We're going to meet tomorrow. And all 3 kids were like, based on my personal opinion, Dad should do it right now. Because the longer we wait, the bigger chance we have of something else coming up. Because remember, he's got blood cancer. And all 3 kids were like, no. And I said, okay, now listen. Well, we all make this decision as a group. If Dad dies, you can't blame me. You can't blame you. You can't blame that one. You can't blame this. You can't blame that. We have to be able to say, if something happens, we're going to stick together as a family. We're going to get through it. There's no blaming anybody because we're all putting in our opinions. And all 3 kids were like, no, we know Dad. Dad can fight through anything in the world. We want to do it right now. Something else could happen down the road, and we don't want to risk it. So we went in. My son and I dropped him off. I picked him up by myself 30 days later, and I was like, oh my God. And he just gets in the car and he said, listen, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. I know you've been studying. I know how you are. I know you've read the books. I know you went through the counseling. I know you went through the classes. You tell me what to do. I'm going to do everything you say. I will never say no, not one single time. So I had him doing all kinds of shit he didn't want to do, but it was part of the deal. And then a year later, we moved back to our house. A year later, he was able to start traveling. Now it's been 5 years.
That's awesome.
Well, man, this has been an amazing journey. We love hearing the dual perspectives between you and your husband, and you guys are quite the power couple.
Can I tell you one little tiny story?
Sure.
It's just a side note. Okay. So we live in a town called Bailey, Colorado. It's a very, very, very small town. We met a woman that happens to work at the hotel where we do our real estate investing group every month, Liz. And Liz came up to us one day and said, oh my God, I'm living in Denver. We had to move out of Bailey. My husband got diagnosed with myelofibrosis. And we're like, what? That's what Bill's diagnosed with. She goes, no. She goes, we decided to take the pills for the 3 years. He developed a kidney issue. Now he lives in the hospital full time. He has 0 chance to recuperate.
Oh, that's so sad.
And we were just like, okay, we ran into a woman that lives in our exact town at 8,000 feet in the mountains that had the exact same thing. They decided to try the pills, and now he was actively dying, and Bill was actively living because we said, fuck it, we're going to take the chance. We're taking the chance. We don't care. We're taking the chance. She was afraid to take the chance. Her husband died while we were a part of her life in Denver, and he died. He was the same age as my husband. All they had to do was jump in and do the transplant first. They took the safer route that they thought was the safer route. He died. Bill lived. So when you're faced with a death, life or death, take the fastest, quickest route you can take because you may not have tomorrow.
Yeah, buying time versus investing in. It's almost like, I mean, this is a weird, correlation, but it's kind of like real estate. The easy way is generally not going to produce the best results, right? Long term.
That's what Bill and I said. We said the easy way is not necessarily the best way, and the best way is the most dangerous way that reaps the biggest results. So we took the dangerous road. And now here we are. I was a full-time caretaker, which I never thought I would be. And let me tell you guys something. I missed nothing in my life by not being in the nursing doctor field because I hate it. But I did everything I could, everything I learned. I did it. Bill listened. And now we have a story to tell.
You have quite the story. Well,
we got a lot more stories to tell here.
Speaking of stories, so we have one final section of our podcast, and the first question that we have, we always call
Failing Forward.
So I don't know if that came through, but so you've done so many deals, over 2,000 for you. Bill did a lot on his own before you guys got together. Do you have anything that sticks out as something that didn't go according to plan, but you went through some tough times with it and came out a winner on the other side?
Actually, I do. I remember back, this is before I met Bill. I bought a house one time in Florida. And I remember going to the house, and there was like all these bugs flying around. I'm like, we're going to have to tent this property. What are all these damn bugs? And so after we bought it, we tented it. It turns out they were termites. And the house was like ate up. So we had to put sister beams in all the trusses. We had to tear out every single cabinet, everything, the drywall, like everything was just ate up with termites. So that was one of those cases where instead of me being, actually, this is like my 5th or 6th deal. Instead of me saying, maybe I should bring in a bug expert or somebody, I'm like, yeah, we'll put a tent over it, we'll be fine. And we were going to make about $35,000 on that deal. We made $650.
Oh, wow.
Better than a loss.
Because I didn't think, I thought to go to like a bug kind of guy, and I was like, nah, we'll just tent it, we'll be fine. I've seen people tent houses, we'll be fine. And by not doing like one more phone call, which would have said, the house is ate up, I was like, we're going to buy it anyway.
We'll figure it out.
And I did a house one time that had fire damage. And it happened like a curling iron started a fire in the master bathroom. So the insurance fixed all the electrical in the master, but the rest of the house, they didn't fix it because the electrical wasn't damaged. But I remember, and I never leaned against walls. But this was a big house, so I decided to lean against the wall, and I was like, yeah, and I fell through the wall and landed in the other room, like in a poof of powder. And I found out that the water damage from the fire department wrecked all the drywall.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So when I saw a house that had a fire and they fixed the master bath and they fixed the master bedroom, I didn't know insurance companies didn't fix the rest of the entire house. So I literally like poofed and landed on my back covered with dust. Like, what is all this? So that was a learning lesson that fire damage doesn't mean everything is fixed. It means electrical where it started is fixed. That's all the insurance is required to do. So I had a few houses like that where they were learning curves. I still made like a smidge of money, but not remotely what I thought I was going to make. So now I know if someone tells me the house has fire damage, I want someone to inspect the entire house, to check the drywall and the cabinets and all of it. And I want stuff inspected. But I didn't know back then. I was just like, I'm going to buy it. What the heck? It's a good deal. So everything else like a good deal is not necessarily a good deal.
That's a good tip.
Do more research. Don't think you know everything. And don't be afraid to do a smidge more research. Like 2 phone calls on each one of those, or we never bought those houses.
I think that Owen's one of the biggest failures was a termite house also.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, we just talked about it last week. Termites are bad.
I mean, honestly, the kitchen cabinets like fell apart and everything just fell apart. I had a guy come in and he goes, oh, this house is, he goes, those bugs with the wings, they were in every inch of the house. I'm just like, we'll just tent it and kill the bugs. No. Every single truss had to have a sister truss. The cabinets had to be torn out. I mean, it was bad. We spent $30,000 on a rehab thinking we were going to make $30,000, ended up with a $600 check.
Yeah, that's the thing about those big projects like that. It's like you go in and there's a huge spread, and you're like, oh wow, this is just going to be 100,000 or 50 grand, and then by the time you add it all up, you can usually double your rehab budget, and you're probably still short on fire damage, extensive termite damage, all that stuff, because you can't see what you can't see. And when they start getting into the framing, then you're just basically talking about a rebuild, right? So you might as well just buy an empty lot and do a spec on it. But I've kicked myself so many times. But there's a lot of risk to doing those, and there probably is some reward. Although I've never been super successful on buying something that had a crap ton of termite damage, fire damage, those kind of things. I've done okay on them, but I would say my L's are more common than my W's on those.
These were things like within my first 5 years. So I was like, okay, listen, there's no shame in calling a professional. I clearly don't know everything, especially after termite house. I don't know everything. I'm going to start calling people in. So I would call in like an electrician. I would call in this, I would call in that. I'm like, I don't care what it costs to call them in. I don't want to buy the house if I'm going to spend $25 or $30 extra $1,000 that I think is going to be profit in my pocket, because then I don't have the money to do the next deal. So don't be afraid to call in the cavalry, because the cavalry will save you more than it will not.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, Dwan, we do have some rapid fire questions we're going to throw at you for our OT with Owen and Ted. I'll let Owen lead off the first one here.
Okay, so the first question for you, Dwan, is like in all the stuff you've done in your life and your personality, what would you say your superpower is?
Honest to God, my superpower, honestly, is being able to empathize with the people, empathize with the buyers. I can see the end project, and I've learned by visualizing the end project when to say yes and when to absolutely say no, period, and walk. That's a hard thing to learn to do, because when you're new, you want to take every deal you can get and make them into something. And sometimes you have to just say no. And it's hard, even for me, 35 years later, it's hard for me to turn down what seems like on paper a good deal. But I can just sit like this and visualize for a while and go, no. No.
Yeah, saying no is a superpower. Yeah.
Well, it is, because when someone presents you a deal that looks good on paper, it's good on paper.
Yes.
And then it doesn't mean that that's a yes.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Okay, so our next rapid fire question for you is, I know you've written a ton of books, but if you're going to write one more book today, what would the topic be? Would it be real estate? Would it be something else?
The book I'm getting ready to go back and redo is Denny's to Diamonds. And I'm going to be more honest in the book about being raised in the Midwest, my husband going to jail, all the terrible things that happened to me, the things that would have shut down 99% of the people. But I had the power to keep going and keep trying, and then I won. So I think it would be more about, especially for women, encouraging people that even when it looks bleak, you need to sometimes keep going. Because, you guys are men. You're raised like you can do anything. And honestly, and I know it's 2026 and people think things are equal, but they're not. Women are not raised that way. Women are still raised, get married, have kids, get a good husband, do whatever and rely on that person forever. But, the divorce rate's like 60%. So I think it would be a little bit towards women empowerment. Like, I married Bill when Ada was 13. It's like, you know what? Get your path. Do your own stuff. If a man comes along who's unbelievably amazing, add him to your mix. But either be a really tight couple or keep your own stuff so you're never on the street.
Yeah.
I know
No,
that
it's good.
sounds bad towards you guys, because I know you guys are good guys and you wouldn't do that to anybody. But I have friends right now at my age that are in their 60s that are getting dumped by guys that are dating women in their 30s. It's like, seriously, what the hell's wrong with you guys?
Yeah. No, no, that's good advice.
So I would encourage women a little bit more. If you're in an abusive relationship, walk. If you really want to start your own business, your husband doesn't want you to, do it anyway. If you're married to someone that's cheating, freaking walk away, man. It's not going to get better. Just stand up and have more. Women don't have enough balls. Sorry to say that. Women don't have enough balls. Stand up, have some more balls, and your life will be fine. And
man.
you guys are going to go back and go, oh my God, she cussed, she said balls, she drank wine. We're going to cut this drunk woman off.
No, hey, this is clickbait right here. So you're doing your job.
But that's why women, I know women right now, my age, that are afraid to leave their husbands. Like, I'm 50. And what do? I'm like, start a business. You're 50. You're not 90.
Yeah, the KFC guy, Colonel Sanders, he started KFC when he was 62 years old. And look at it. Like, it's an iconic business. Not good for your health, but...
and who doesn't love KFC, though, really?
I haven't had it in a long time. I was just thinking about that the other day. I could go for
KFC. I stopped the other day and had a KFC chicken pot pie. I thought I died, gone to heaven.
No. It's an every once in a while thing, Ted. Don't judge. Okay, so
I'll take Raising Cane's.
Speaking of being judged, we're at the end of the line for you. Let's fast forward a little bit. So you wind it all up. You've accomplished all the stuff you already have, and then plus more. We're at the end of the line for you. When you look back on your life, what is the legacy you hope to leave behind, and what do you hope people say about you when you're gone?
So the legacy I hope to leave behind is everybody believes in Jesus Christ, because I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian. My kids believe in Jesus. My grandkids believe in Jesus. My legacy is that my children and my grandchildren take advantage of the things I've left for them and continue building them, opposed to passing on that, and that I have helped people. One of my things with all my students is I try to help them create generational wealth. So my biggest thing would be that all my students have created generational wealth, because somebody has to start. In Bill's family, he's from the Midwest. My family in the Midwest. Bill and I met. We were millionaires together, and we have started the first line in both of our families of generational wealth. So I would hope that people that work with me and work with Bill would generate like the Trumps and the Rockefellers and all those people. Somebody had to be the first one.
Yep.
So I tell my students, I hope that you're the first one. You create the generational wealth and you break the cycle of having to work for the man for your whole life. You create you work with what your family has created for you. So I would pray that my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids would appreciate the generational wealth.
Dwan, last thing we're going to ask is, how can our listeners support you, and what are you looking for right now in your business?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. They can find me. I told you guys this before. I took the name Dwan and the name Wonderful, and I created Dwanderful.
Dwanderful.
Easy, okay. DWAN, Dwan, Wonderful, Dwan, DERFUL, Dwanderful. So I would hope everyone would go to dwanderful.com. They would take my real estate investing quiz, which gives them the opportunity to talk to me for 30 minutes about their personal goals and what they want to do. So I would hope the people listening would go to dwanderful.com and take my quiz, have a 30-minute conversation with me, and I could try to help them and talk to them and see what their goals are and maybe lead them down the right path.
Love that.
Well, Dwan, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. I appreciate you and Bill, everything you've done for our community. Hopefully that weekend, since we're only 4 hours apart when you're in Iowa, hopefully we can get together at some point here and definitely meet you or meet our community here. But I think that the people listening to this will definitely relate, have some good connections there. I love the way that you talk in such a raw format. And after all the podcasts I've listened to you, I think I've learned more from you in this podcast than any of the other podcasts I've listened to. So I appreciate you just being so vulnerable and open in this.
I appreciate you saying that. One of the things I've learned a long time ago, So I'm 67. And probably up until even a decade ago, I was very much concerned about what people thought about me, what people would think about my story, my husband being in jail, what would people think. And somewhere along the way, I reached a point where it's like, listen, I don't really give a shit what you think.
Yeah.
And
right?
when I reached that moment, I was able to just talk about what I talk about, and this is it. It's public knowledge. Here's who I am. And if you like me, great. And if you don't, I'm not losing no sleep over it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, when you reach that point, now how old are you guys?
I'm 51.
46.
Okay. So you guys are getting close, but it really doesn't happen fully until you're in your 50s. And one day you just wake up and you go, you know what? I don't give a shit.
That's
I
Owen's
don't
there.
think
Yeah,
at
I'm
your
there.
age, I think you guys are like right there. But when you get there and it really truly hits you in the depths of your soul that you don't care, you'll talk about anything. Your husband, being in jail, drugs in the 20s, bartending, raising kids, doing houses, marrying Bill, myelofibrosis. Like, you'll just talk about it because every single thing that you've learned is education for younger people.
I think that will happen as soon as our kids are out of high school.
Yes. Yeah.
Or out of the house.
Yeah.
You know, once the kids are completely out of the house, I think that helps kind of open the gates.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. When my kids were, I'll tell you just super quick story. My kids were in high school, all three of them. So I have my daughter Ayla, Bill has Chris and Billy. We all merged. We're the family of five. We're the OG five. So even when we're with family people, their spouses, their kids, we always do one picture with the OG five. Me, Bill, Chris, Ayla, Billy. Because we're the ones that formed the original family. So even in high school, our kids had to take the school bus. They kept missing the bus. We said, we're going to charge you $5 for gas. So then what happens, in a week, they'd all pool $5 together and miss the bus to make me and Bill take them because the bus came at 6:30. School didn't start till 8. So after a week or two, we're like, you know what? These kids are pooling their money and giving us $5. So we're going to put a stop to that. So Bill and I got in the car one day in nothing but just actual bathrobes, big old Ugg boots, The bus goes by. We missed the bus, was on purpose. Bill and I tracked the bus down through the neighborhood, honking, 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 and the bus finally pulls over. I'm in the driver's seat. The kids get out to go run to get onto the bus. So, no, we're not going to take you to school. We're going to take you to the bus. We don't need to drive you all the way to school. And then I keep honking. So all the kids are looking out the back window. Bill gets out in a white robe and socks. He's like, Billy, hello, Christina, have a good day at school. And he walks onto the bus. Guys, my kids, take care of my kids. Oh, we love you. And I'm in the back honking, honking, honking. And do you know those children never miss the bus again? So you don't need to wait till they're out of high school. Do it while they're in high school.
Dwan, that reminds me because I dropped the kids off and then they started to get to a point where they wouldn't give me a hug goodbye and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I said, every time you guys don't give me a hug and kiss goodbye, I'm gonna get out of my car and stand on my truck on the sidebars and be like, bye guys, I love you, have a great day. And I did that. So when we pull in the parking lot, I get the hug and kiss while we're coming around the waiting in the line every single time, and not even a question about it. Yeah, so that is a good way to end right there.
We were like, bye kids, we love you, so we'll pick you up. We did the same exact thing. So between that and the robes, the kids got on the bus, they got off. You don't need to wait till they're out of high school. Traumatize them now. It's good for their character.
Parenting lessons 101.
They may be in therapy for the next few years, but hey.
No, they won't. You know what they'll do? They'll do the same damn thing to their kids.
Yes, they will. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good note to have. Owen, will you see us out?
On behalf of Aiden Bear,
Aiden ditched us today.
Alex Beltran and Ted Kaasch. I'm Owen Dashner, and even listening to Dwan from Child Bootlegger to the Queen of Short Sales, Twyford.
Signing off.
Bye, everyone. God bless you.